This is a civilization restoration file from the year 3026. In the data strata, we found billions of encrypted character strings. Some as short as 6 characters, others dozens long, composed of letters, numbers, and special symbols. At first, we thought it was some kind of military cipher system. Human Civilization Archives, Episode 4. File number A21-004. Subject: an identity verification mechanism called passwords. Everyone used them. Everyone forgot them. This wasn't a military system. It was daily life. An average 21st century person maintained over 100 passwords. Email, banks, social media, shopping sites, streaming services, work platforms. Nearly every digital service required creating a new secret string. And these strings had strict rules. Must contain uppercase letters. Must contain lowercase letters. Must contain numbers. Must contain special symbols. Minimum 8 characters. Cannot match any of your last 5 passwords. We initially assumed this was a carefully designed security system. Later we realized most people simply couldn't remember them. They created identity proofs that exceeded their own memory capacity. And so a cycle emerged. Create a password. Use it a few times. Forget it. Click Forgot Password. Verify through email or phone. Set a new password. Use it a few times. Forget again. Reset again. Statistics showed an average person went through this cycle dozens of times a year. We found a fascinating contradiction in user behavior data. The systems demanded complex, unique, unguessable passwords. But human memory doesn't work that way. So they cheated. Vast numbers used their birthday, their pet's name, their child's name plus birth year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The word password itself. They guarded their most important digital assets with the most easily guessable information. This wasn't carelessness. It was a fundamental conflict between human memory and machine requirements. Machines needed randomness. Humans relied on meaning. The two were incompatible. Then the breaches began. In the data strata, we found records of massive password leaks. Hundreds of millions of passwords exposed at once. Some breaches affected an entire nation's population. Worse still, because people reused the same password across platforms, one breach often meant every account was compromised simultaneously. Your email password leaked. Your bank was no longer safe either. One key lost, every door opened. Some people started writing passwords on paper, hidden under keyboards, stuck to monitor bezels, using the most primitive method to safeguard the most digital form of identity. Then came password managers, software that remembered all your passwords, but you needed one master password to unlock it. If you forgot that master password, everything was gone. They locked all their keys behind one key, then prayed they wouldn't lose that one. This phase lasted many years, until they realized that perhaps the brain shouldn't bear this burden at all. Then biometrics appeared. Fingerprints, faces, irises, voice prints. They stopped proving identity through memory. They started using their bodies. This seemed like progress, but it brought a new problem. Passwords could be changed. Your fingerprint could not. If your biometric data was compromised, you couldn't reset your face. We noticed a turning point in the archives. At some stage, a person's digital identity became more important than their physical one. You could lose your ID card and get a replacement. But if you lost all your passwords and accounts, your money, your records, your social connections, your photos, you vanished from the digital world. Records show that some elderly people, after forgetting their passwords, were permanently locked out of their own bank accounts. Their money was still there, but they couldn't prove it was theirs. A person standing at a bank counter, with their ID card, with their own face. But the system says, wrong password. In that moment, the machine didn't recognize them. And the machine's judgment mattered more than any human's. This was the first time in human history such a situation arose. You had to prove to a machine that you were yourself. Not to another person, not to a community, but to a piece of code. If the code didn't recognize you, you weren't you. We've marked this phenomenon in the civilization archives. The 21st century, humans created a parallel identity system. Everyone simultaneously possessed one physical identity and hundreds of digital ones. They spent enormous energy maintaining the latter, because in an increasing number of contexts, the digital identity was the one that counted. A password wasn't just a string of characters. It was the first time humans were required to prove their existence through memory. It wasn't you are who you say you are. It was, you are who you are only if you remember that string. Looking back 1,000 years later, what moves us most isn't that they couldn't remember their passwords. It's that in that era, they lived as two people. One was the physical self, aging, forgetting, falling ill. The other was the digital self, always online, always recorded, always requiring a string of characters to unlock. They shuttled between these two identities, until eventually, Some could no longer tell which one was the real them.